Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dan.
And I'm Ahmad.
And we'll be talking to you today about two ancient philosophers, Aristotle and Ptolemy. Aristotle was a famous Greek philosopher. This is what Aristotle looked like. This is what Aristotle looks like for the purposes of our presentation. Ptolemy was also a famous Greek philosopher. This is what Ptolemy looked like. This is what Ptolemy looks like for the purposes of our presentation. Aristotle believed that everything, including human beings, was made out of four elements: earth, water, air, and fire. This means that in Aristotle's head, sensory organs were composed of elements instead of nerves, neurons, eardrums, etc. For example, Aristotle believed that the ear consisted of fire plus air plus an otter. Just kidding about the otter. Aristotle also believed that sensory organs transformed into whatever they perceived. For instance, upon perceiving a cat, Aristotle's eyes would supposedly assume the figure of a cat. Another one of his theories asserted that all motion is caused by an element's movement towards its natural place in the world. So fire wants to go to fire, earth wants to go to earth, air wants to go to air, etc. This provides an explanation for why boats sink and airplanes crash. Earth goes to earth. Now Ptolemy, he loved astronomy, especially making models of the universe. And since Ptolemy loved astronomy so much, he wrote a book called Almagest, which talked about astronomy. Surprise. In Almagest, he expounded on the geocentric model of the universe, which means that the Earth is at the center of the universe, and the Sun and all the other planets were in spheres around the Earth. God was on the outside of all these spheres. Ptolemy used math to back up all these projections, even though a lot of the time it was incorrect. Let's go back to that idea about spheres, because it was really important to Aristotle and Ptolemy. In their theories, every planet lay in a concentric sphere around the Earth, and somebody named a prime mover would give each planet its angular velocity. However, since planets sometimes underwent retrograde motion, in which they appeared to travel backwards, Aristotle had to add some crazy things to his theory called epicycles. According to epicycles, planets weren't actually attached to the concentric spheres, but rotate in circles, called epicycles, around points on the concentric sphere, known as a deferent. Since this was completely incorrect in actuality, Ptolemy had to add some more crazy things to his theories to correct Aristotle's. Ptolemy decided since the motion of planets wasn't exactly predicted by Aristotle's epicycles, he would add additional epicycles to the epicycles to get one big accurate epicycle. Obviously, we now know that Aristotle and Ptolemy were completely incorrect about geocentrism, but their ideas about the universe were accepted for more than 1,000 years after their death, because the church liked that whole idea of the prime mover, who they naturally assumed was God. It wasn't until Copernicus, around 1500, and Galileo, a little later, challenged the idea of a geocentric universe that the theories of Aristotle and Ptolemy regarding astronomy finally died out. The end.